This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is made possible by TripleByte, because applying to programming jobs sucks, from endless applications to countless hours of technical screens. With TripleByte, there's a better way. You do one online interview, and then you go straight to the final interviews at hundreds of companies, from tech giants like Dropbox to exciting startups. It's like the common app for software engineers. No resume needed. You can apply now at triplebyte.com/test, and if you take a job through TripleByte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus. Again, that's triplebyte, BYTE.com/test.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, February 7th, 2019. Happy Lunar New Year! Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com.
Did you say this was episode 486, Norman?
It is episode 486. We are 14 episodes away.
Someone press our turbo button.
From the 500 episode mark. What month would that be? We would do roughly four episodes a month, and we are 14 episodes.
Sometime in May.
Sometime in May. Ooh.
Math.
May, early May? Late May?
Frankly, I'm more excited about 46 than 500, frankly. Just because it was an important computer for me.
Oh. I
Yeah.
even put that together.
Yeah.
The 46.
That's right. The 4633 in my case.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
My first 46 was the 4650.
That
So
was super fast. I bet you did have a turbo button.
I did have a turbo button.
Yeah.
But I think the 50 was a bad spot because it missed the next big. The 33 was early on, and that was a huge upgrade over 386, of course.
Yeah. Huge.
And then the 50 was good, but then I was unable to play so many games because at the next big jump, which became the min spec, was 66.
What game couldn't you play?
I couldn't play TIE Fighter.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah.
It was a good game, too.
Yeah. A bunch of stuff I couldn't play, unfortunately. But 46, good number.
Yeah.
What about the 586? I don't know. That's 100
It's the Pentium.
episodes. It is. They just stopped calling it that. It's the Pentium with MMX.
Don't remember that. Is that like a math thing?
I think it was a math thing. So many things I don't need to know. Why can't that be the 10% that goes out the window? Hey, everyone. Welcome to the podcast this week. We are post-lunch, a little groggy, talking about computers. How you guys doing? Jeremy Williams.
I'm well, thanks.
I think I got some nicknames for you guys.
Oh, no.
God.
But it was on Twitter, and because it was on Twitter, I don't know where they are anymore. So the nicknames were lost. I need nicknames for you guys. You got Jeremy Williams here, purveyor of pinball,
I like it.
and Kishore Hari, Sultan of Science. That's what we got for now.
Okay.
Happy Year of the Pig, everyone.
Yeah, the year of the oink oink. Last year was the year of the bow wow. The year of the boar, if you want to be a little more distinguished about it. It was a Lunar New Year this past Tuesday, a couple days ago. I did some celebrations within my family. Did you guys celebrate the Lunar New Year in any way?
No.
Not one bit. My kiddo had the day off.
The moon is quite full.
When was it?
Tuesday.
No.
Yeah.
No, my kiddo's been home from school sick. He's been sick as a dog, trying to spread it around, and I won't have it.
Ugh.
You, stop being sick.
I've been drinking Airborne because I choose to believe in Airborne, and I have been imbibing that and staying well.
Good.
Little do I know the virus is inside me.
It's already in there. Yeah, that's like chugging emergency after the fact. It's all placebo effect. You gotta stay warm, drink water, don't touch your face.
Shall we get to the top story?
Let's get to our top story. We got a lot to talk about.
Top story this week.
There are certain inevitabilities in this world. Death, taxes, and Tom Brady, apparently.
Grumble. Unless you're from the New England area, in which case, congratulations. Good for you. You guys won a Super Bowl. Yet another Super Bowl.
was-
You know?
Very disappointing Super Bowl.
It was-
all around.
Yeah. Yeah, the Maroon 5 of Super Bowls, I suppose.
Jeremy didn't even watch the Super Bowl. You're like,
shocking.
No, this is awful. I don't need to see
What
it.
did you do on Sunday?
I don't even know, man. I spent when I have free time these days, I'm usually working on this project for Other Ocean, this thing that we're going to launch next week, which I guess we'll talk about next week. But it's coding exercises, that kind of thing.
Coding exercises.
Yes.
Whoa.
Entertaining.
Much better use of your time.
Entertaining children.
Normally, I just yelled nerd at you right now, but that was much better use of your time.
I
watching
was
the Super
aware
Bowl.
that there was a Super Bowl, and as it was going on, like I heard people yelling and having a good time. I didn't even watch the commercials. I wasn't watching TV for that, but I heard even the commercials it wasn't the best year ever.
I think it's been a downward trend for a long time. Now there are many more places. Ever since smartphones came out, there's been the second screen. So the singular commercial defining experience, whether it's a movie trailer or something that Budweiser's put on, being a cultural touchstone, has kind of waned. We'll never have the Budweiser frogs ever again. People are not going to come out of the Super Bowl wearing T-shirts.
What about the Apple commercial? The commercial.
The Apple commercial.
The 1984.
Throw on the hammer.
Yes, George Orwell commercial. That was a Super Bowl commercial. Aired once.
That doesn't happen anymore. So often, we talked about this last week, we have the build-up to the Super Bowl commercials themselves with the pre-commercial teaser commercial. And at that point, it's marketing people wanting to justify the millions they're spending. Millions. Was it $5 million for 30 seconds?
They do feel
commercial
overproduced.
time.
Just like everything
Overhyped.
is over everything.
But it is our top story this week because the Super Bowl, for better or worse, is still a cultural touchstone. 100 million people watched it. You made your famous chicken wings. I want a chicken wing report.
This was an awesome year for chicken wings. I'll post some recipes online if people really want to see. But my favorite was one that Norm recommended based off of a recipe from Mission Chinese here in San Francisco.
What's that?
It's a Chinese restaurant. A red Sichuan peppercorn wing, which has this numbing effect on your face. It was awesome.
Now, the way you do chicken wings, it's all sauce-based, right? You guys fry your wings, put the sauce on top. It's not spiced and then fried with the spice.
No, I mean, we have done that in the past. We always change things. But we have multiple fryers with peanut oil, and we do like a pretty traditional kind of East Coast setup with frying the wings, seasoning them. I do dry them. I age them. This is ridiculous. Why am I talking about chicken?
I'm salivating just hearing about it. So where's my wing, Kishore?
Oh, I do have some wings at home.
I would like to try.
Nothing like 3-day-old wings that really gets you going.
It's all about that sauce. So chicken wings were a success. Super Bowl itself, not so much of a success. But let's talk about the important thing, the ads and the millions of dollars that were spent. So, Jerry, I presume you did not watch even the ads, or did you?
Somebody told me I needed to watch this Toyota Supra commercial, right?
Really?
Yeah. Did you see
Okay,
it?
I did see it.
Okay. God, you know why they told me I needed to watch it, because I'm the purveyor of pinball.
Because that was the play field. The
That's
course
right.
was a play field.
Yeah, and I thought that was clever. They did their research. They know how pop bumpers work. I was impressed.
That was a fairly forgettable ad, though.
Well,
Yeah.
as the only ad I watched, it's not to me. I remember it. I remember it
End of
fondly.
one, yeah, sure.
But however, when I came in, you introduced me to another one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that one in 1 second.
Okay.
Movie trailers first. How about
Yeah.
big surprise? Movie trailers have become less of a thing, I think, during Super Bowls. The last big movie trailer I remember was probably like Matrix Reloaded.
Oh my gosh.
Was a Super Bowl commercial, and that was back when people tracked TiVo and DVR and TiVo, and many people, and that became a metric for success for the Super Bowl, is how many people rewinded that commercial or those moments. And Matrix Reloaded was a massive one. But since then, a lot of the trailers are things either we've seen before or we know already coming out. Few surprises. I guess last year we had Cloverfield Paradox. We had no surprise Netflix drops this year. But there was the very first commercial at 3:30 Pacific time was a trailer, a short spot for Avengers Endgame.
Oh yeah, that was exciting.
I missed it completely. I didn't even know it was coming. Norm had to tell me that it had aired.
Yeah.
And then I had to go watch it on YouTube.
So we're jumping a little bit into the pop culture, but how would you rate that trailer, Kishore?
Not great, actually. Again, like, because it's a commercial, it's not a trailer. It doesn't have like the beats. It doesn't get you excited. It's more like, here's a thing that's coming. It told us probably too much information that we need. Yeah, we got a couple pieces of information that one that I requested in the previous trailer finally showed up, and then we got more information about probably what the timeline is for this movie. And frankly, like, I don't think we need the timeline information.
Oh. You didn't want to know
I mean, is it a spoiler
after?
to talk about what's in it?
It's without,
It's a TV commercial.
It's a TV commercial that 100
this.
people watch. Okay.
What are you feeling the timeline is?
So it's pretty clear that a lot of time has passed since the last movie, or at least some time has passed, and the world is dealing with all of those people being gone.
The repercussions of the snap.
No, a lot of time has passed since the dinosaurs went extinct. What are you saying?
I'm saying at least a year, because like we see people at like support meetings, and we see like posters up being like dealing with loss or whatever. We see a Met Stadium, which is the symbol for loss. So I mean,
Statue of Liberty with a bunch of boats around it.
Yeah, it's almost like a marina.
So like clearly some time has passed, and this one's focused on all of the survivors that we saw in Wakanda, all of our hero survivors, essentially where they are at this point. And we see a number of them banded together, walking in like what I assume is Avengers HQ, heading out to change things around. And we get, Chris Evans, Cap's voiceover about we are not going to settle for things remaining the way they are.
I really liked
moving on.
that it visually looked different. It
did.
Grimmer, darker. It looked more grounded in, even just the establishing shots looked more earth-based as opposed to all that green screen cosmic stuff that we saw in Infinity War. And so even the fact that the directors are maybe tonally shifting it a little bit, I like. That you can watch maybe Infinity War and Endgame and feel like two different movies as a part of one big story, stylistically.
I maintain that this cliffhanger between these two films is the best and most intriguing since Empire Strikes Back. And this trailer did nothing to ruin that.
No. Wait, we did get the shield, which is the one thing I requested
on the shield.
in the first
Except
one.
I thought it was Hawkeye. So it's like everyone apparently knew that was Captain America's shield but me, because it's the back side of it. I don't know how you people know these
set
things.
up the shot directly after it's them, the silhouettes walking through the Avengers HQ with him with the circle shield.
Was he holding the circle shield
was-
there? I totally
he
missed
had
that. See, you guys catch these
all the
things.
silhouettes with the raccoon is with Rocket as well. Yeah, so that was a big TV spot for upcoming movie. They also had Hobbs and Shaw was a big one, but the trailer had already come out. I love this trailer.
Trailer looks actually pretty great. Can we give like one little shout out? R.I.P. Han.
Oh yeah,
What the heck?
This is the rule in Hollywood. The villain becomes so good, so popular that you got to turn him into a hero, or at the very least anti-hero. And so Jason Statham's Shaw, who was the villain of Fast 7, killed the Han character in Tokyo Drift, is the lead in this Fast and Furious spinoff. It's directed by the director of Deadpool 2, I believe, / John Wick. So it's going to be action-packed.
I love how unapologetic they are. They're basically like Idris Elba's like a mutant.
He's like a Captain America in this.
Yeah.
Super
They're
soldier.
basically. Are they gonna like launch a car to the moon? I feel like that's the only thing that they haven't done in this series.
Serious drift.
Them before Mission Impossible. Yeah.
I vaguely remember a Toy Story trailer. Did I see that?
It was after the Super Bowl. But
Okay.
there was a short Toy Story TV spot
Yeah.
that set up a little bit more of plot. It seems like the setting for this one will be a carnival.
And the two characters you suppose would be in the film apparently are.
They are in the film.
How about that?
Key and Peele playing two plushies. My fear for the Toy Story trailer is that it sets it up as Buzz being lost in this place, which is very similar to Toy Story 2.
Right, because he's strapped to a prize wall.
Yeah. Or at least Toy Story 1, where Buzz is lost as well.
Yeah.
We're rescuing a friend. It seems to be
Well, in Toy Story 2, he was trapped inside the Toy Story, inside the box.
Right.
The Buzz Lightyear box.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess they've done that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just doesn't seem as big an event to me
Yeah.
as what Toy Story 3 is. And well, hopefully it's good. Excited
Yeah.
for Toy Story to come back. And then some of the other notable trailers, commercials. I thought T-Mobile had some of the best commercials. They had a series of ones using text messaging, and I laughed out loud with all of them. There was one with a couple, presumably. Have you seen these, Jeremy?
Nope.
There was one with a couple texting each other about what to get for dinner, and it struck a chord.
All right.
I like the one with the Lyft driver. That was my favorite. It's like, I'm here for you. And the
Yeah.
person responds, thank you so much. I really needed that today. He's like, no, I'm outside. I'm your Lyft driver.
It was funny. I enjoyed it. Amazon had a big commercial for their Alexa devices. And
Loved it.
Loved it. Very, very funny. It was the somewhat poking fun, tongue-in-cheek poking fun at the fact that Alexa is everywhere now and it's not all ideas stick. So it was the failed Alexa devices from a Broad City hot tub or Alexa-powered hot tub featuring Broad City.
The premise is there's a Amazon employee who's divulging these secrets to somebody.
Yes,
who's,
the department.
Hushed under hushed voices.
Yes.
Explaining some of the failed products that never got out.
And one of them was Harrison Ford with his pet, Boston Terrier. That was I've watched that commercial so many times now. It's adorable.
Did you find out if he actually has a Boston Terrier?
I Googled, and it is unconfirmed on the internet. r/the Boston Terrier subreddit is sleuthing on it right now.
I wonder what he was paid for that.
A lot of money.
He doesn't take any role. He had to wear his favorite shirt, the gray shirt,
I saw
the
that.
Blade Runner shirt.
That's
So
funny.
that's at least they met his.
I like how they had the twin astronauts in it, too.
Yeah, the Kelly brothers. Yeah, on a mock ISS. Although I wasn't sure what that was supposed to be about. Like, was that like an echo device on the space station?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And then probably the most noteworthy television commercial was the Bud Light commercial. So this is the one I showed you right before we started recording, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And Bud Light has a ton of ads. I guess Budweiser, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, ton of ads throughout the Super Bowl. And they mix up campaigns all the time with two new characters. And for the past year, one of their enduring campaigns and characters has been the Bud Knight, a blue armor-clad
News to me.
medieval knight who drinks beer. Much like the Duff Man in the Simpsons mythology, this is the Bud Knight, and who jousts.
Do you get it?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yeah, it's a pun. And the commercial featured him in a duel in which he loses, surprisingly, twist to the Mountain of Game of Thrones fame.
This is like from early seasons of Game of Thrones, right? Kind of a throwback to that. Wasn't the Mountain only jousting in the early, first season?
Yes, but the Mountain as he appears in this commercial is the current incarnation of the Mountain.
Oh, interesting, because I have not gotten that far.
So,
Interesting.
Have you not gotten to Oberon?
I don't even know what you just said.
The Sand Snakes?
No.
Have you? Oh.
No.
So this scene is a direct callback to a scene in a famous scene, quite famous scene.
Like the most recent aired season?
No,
it's a
two
few
seasons,
seasons
2 or
ago.
3 seasons ago.
Oh.
Yeah, you
I got as far as the pinball machine, which covers, I think, the first 4 seasons.
the pinball machine?
What
Yeah.
are you talking about?
Yeah. The Game of Thrones pinball machine.
Oh, I thought you meant like pinball machine in,
I was
in
like,
the show.
in the show?
You got it. You got as far as when they released the pinball. So for you,
Yeah.
pop culture stops when they release the pinball.
I needed to understand the context of all of the animations on the
Got
dot
it.
matrix.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, I think you got to go past that. Yeah. But it was a direct callback, and it ended up not being a commercial for Bud Light at all. It was a surprise commercial, a sneak commercial for Game of Thrones, the final season.
And was that a reveal?
It wasn't a reveal, but it was just to get people talking about it, as we're doing right now. So the story behind this, how this commercial got made, super interesting. It was Bud Light was approached by HBO. The HBO was the people, they initiated this. The marketing agency, the ad agency responsible for HBO's promotional campaign in promoting Game of Thrones. Already, Game of Thrones doesn't really need the help, right? Like, it's HBO's, not only their flagship series, but it's like one of the very few global phenomenons that they've had.
It's got a pinball machine.
Since Sopranos.
Yeah.
Does Sopranos have a pinball machine?
It does.
So there you go, right? Let's wait till Westworld. But they needed to even amp it up even more. So what they did was they sought out a partner to do this commercial within a commercial. And one idea they had apparently was to go to Coca-Cola. They were going to do White Walkers with the polar bears, like a polar bear Coca-Cola commercial. You know, the classic, and then have them turn into White Walkers.
Yeah.
But Coke they ended up not approaching Coke, and I think Coke would have been too precious about those polar bears.
Yeah, bad idea.
Because they're a very family-friendly brand.
Yeah.
So they went to Budweiser instead, and apparently Budweiser said yes because beer sales have been diminishing. Light beer sales have been diminishing over the years, and they wanted to affiliate themselves with the Game of Thrones brand.
This is fascinating because the ambassador for Bud Light is the one who's killed.
Yes, so they sacrificed a character.
Not only does he fail at jousting, he's decapitated supposedly off screen.
He is his skull is crushed
Yeah.
off screen, and so
And
in
they
the
didn't even say
negotiations-
dilly when he got killed.
So what happened apparently was it was two separate agencies because the agency represents Bud Light and the agency represents HBO.
They're
Separately
different.
came together and they negotiated where Bud Light would pay for the screen time. And so they would be on record as paying the $5 million
Oh.
for CBS to have, and probably it wasn't $5 million because they do these package deals and Bud Light had, half a dozen commercials, right? So they paid for the airing time and HBO paid for the production of this commercial and used one of their directors to direct that scene.
It's probably more. Don't you think that was the higher cost?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Was that really the mountain too?
I mean, the dragon and the
They had CG.
That
They had
was
CG
expensive.
effects, and they had to go to the Game of Thrones writing team to get their approval because they didn't want to take too many liberties with the storyline in this because it's taking characters out of the context, and they didn't want fans watching this commercial making assumptions about what was going to happen and glean the wrong thing
Oh,
from this commercial.
wow.
And also to that point where you said the Bud Light mascot gets killed.
Yeah.
That was a point of negotiation as well, and that's the thing that Game of Thrones would not budge on. They
Good
said,
for them because I
"We
think that
need-
made it.
We need to kill your mascot. That's a non-negotiable part of this.
Because at that point, you still don't know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like your mouth kind of drops open.
Yes, this is it's like a Ready Player One crossover, pop culture things mixing up, television characters being killed off by TV show characters, and eventually they stretched out the commercial longer than those 30 seconds, and HBO had to pay for the extra time cost on it. But that's the kind of weird behind the scenes things that went into making this surprise happen.
I wish that it was a better commercial up until the twist. Like at the whole hold my beer thing, I thought fell flat. I did not think that was funny. Did that resonate with fans?
No.
Okay.
All those Bud Light commercials were terrible.
I think it being intentionally cheesy
Yeah.
is part of it, because then you're not if it wasn't. You don't need it to be extra slick.
Yeah.
You need to play as a really this is just another forgettable Bud Light commercial.
Yeah.
And so you want people in the bar as they're drinking their beer, chatting each other in between the Super Bowl. You want the people to suddenly stop and go, wait, what's going on? That's the mountain. What's going on? That's a dragon. And then they see the final shot. It's the HBO Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Coming soon, final season. And people to explode.
That's cool.
The other big marketing event that happened off the Super Bowl was the egg. The egg hatched.
What are we talking about?
I have no idea.
Have you not heard of the Instagram egg?
No.
Even NPR did a story about the Instagram egg. So last month, there was a viral campaign, organic campaign. I don't know how it came about, but an Instagram account for an egg challenged people to like the picture of the egg more times than the most liked Instagram image, which previously, I guess, was held by one of the Jenners, one of the Kardashians.
I'm already tired of this story.
And the egg got 52 million likes.
Oh, God.
Okay.
52 million people on Instagram liked the egg and subscribed to the egg as a fun viral thing. Kind of like, when Reddit used to do the red button or,
Yeah, I feel like they still
pixel
do that
thing.
once in a while. But yeah.
It becomes one of those let's be part of this internet moment.
Yes.
Right?
And it's just a static picture of an egg, though.
It's a photo
Okay.
of an egg.
And did this cause something to happen?
Well, a week before the Super Bowl, the egg posted another picture.
No.
And the second picture was a crack in the egg.
Oh, keep liking it, people.
Keep liking it. And millions of people, not 52 million, but millions of people clicked the crack. And the crack got bigger. And then before the Super Bowl, it texted out. The description was, see what's happening under the crack at Hulu on Super Bowl day.
Oh, wow.
And people were like, "Uh-oh, someone bought the egg. Someone bought the egg." And people could not figure out who had bought the opportunity to promote whatever they wanted to promote with the egg.
Is that your assumption that this was a seed that was planted by a marketing firm that then used it to sell
it was
to the highest bidder?
I think it wasn't even a marketing firm. I think it was just an organic thing, like an individual who wanted for fun
Who
to
in
do this
turn
thing,
flipped
who
it.
then flipped the egg. And articles were written about the egg. Marketing executives estimated the value of the egg to be $10 million. The marketing firm. I know. That to only be used once, right? Because once you use the egg, it's spoiled.
Well, you know what? I'm good. $10 million once
good.
I'm good.
And like, who would spend HBO, Bud Light, $5 million for 30 seconds? And this is a second screen opportunity for people on a very relevant social network.
It's like that guy, not Reddit, but like when that one guy sold pixels for $1.
Yes, and people bought groups of them to
Yes.
put their picture, wrote their names, and the $1 million webpage.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
This is like that, right? 10 million was just an estimate thrown out. Who knows how much was spent? At Hulu was mentioned. People have speculated, is this a surprise TV show drop on that day?
Okay, whatever.
It opened up.
Yeah.
It's not a TV show. Not even really a marketing thing. It was a mental health awareness.
Oh, that's great.
Cracking under the pressure. Calls for help. Mental health awareness.
Wait a minute. It actually related in a way?
Yes. And it was a positive PSA.
What?
This is the feel-good moment of the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And I
I'm
guess
with
Hulu
you.
was a partnership in this. I think Hulu probably spent the money for it and didn't promote any show or anything. Got people talking, got us talking, but for mental health.
Wow.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. Don't be so cynical, Jeremy.
Okay, Norm. All I think
I
of,
apologize, Egg.
both of my kids are into eggs right now. One of them, it happens to be Pokemon raids, which, as you both know from playing Pokemon Go, there are eggs floating above gyms when there's a raid. And throughout the city, you have to go and you actually attack these things. And my daughter is into hatchable collectibles, which are
I've heard about these.
basically like mystery boxes. It's just gambling toys.
Yeah. New York Times has a story about who was behind the egg, a 29-year-old advertising executive or creative who did it himself. So,
29-year-old?
yeah.
Brilliant kid.
Yeah. Kid. Ugh. Sucks to be old. They did not say how much was spent on it. The number was greatly exaggerated, so it wasn't up to $10 million. But good for them for flipping the egg. Landed it solidly.
You want to know what?
Sunny side up.
I got to see something early. Can I talk about that? Or are we done?
Well, I
We're
think
not done yet.
we're done with Top Story of the Week. Let's move on to our next
See,
segment.
there's on the show notes, it's not delineated. So I will now press the pop culture button. See, I remember playing TIE Fighter on my 46, though. Just letting you know. I don't know. I played Mech Warrior on it. That was hard.
I didn't play MechWarrior on that.
So, I was on Twitter and I saw an advertisement. Sometimes you get the promoted things and they actually are, of interest to you. And it was See How to Train Your Dragon 3 early.
Ooh.
So I clicked it and I did it. So me and several hundred of my best friends, we all went to the theater at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Took my kids, and we saw the movie.
Was it packed?
3 weeks early. Yeah, it was pretty packed. But they were doing this screening everywhere in the city
Yeah, like every movie theater
at
had
3 o'clock.
And I think, movie theaters around the country.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I wasn't special. I had to pay full price, but it's great because you walk in. There's no ads. There's no trailers. There's nothing. There's not even like a be quiet when you're watching a movie. Think about other people. It was just movie.
That's kind of worth
At
it.
Showtime, which is like really cool.
What did you feel like this was an interesting way to watch a movie? Whereas like 3 weeks early.
Oh yeah, definitely. The weirdest thing is after you see the movie, there are ads on TV or when you go to see other movies. That's where I saw it. I saw a trailer for it in another movie.
And you're like, oh, this isn't coming out already.
Like, I already saw that
I already
movie.
saw it. Come on.
So
That's not that you're
that's
at now.
weird. But anyway, I'm a huge fan of the first one. I thought the first How to Train Your Dragon was better than Pixar's offering that year, whatever it was. And I thought the second one was okay. I'm like, not as good as the first one. And I'd put the third one in the same boat. That's my early review.
The first movie was a co-director. It's Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, who previously worked at Disney and did Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, yeah?
And so you see a lot of the Stitch character in Toothless. The kind of the way the mouth opens.
Okay.
And they've been on record as saying that they came into that film, How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, relatively late in the process. They were brought in to salvage the film, essentially. And not to discredit any of the work that people had put in beforehand, but directors come in, in the project, not necessarily at the beginning, a bunch of times. It happens frequently. And the result was great. Like, the DreamWorks Animation knockout home run with that movie. Agree completely, like you said.
It hits all the right beats.
Yeah, and this is 2010, right? What was the Pixar movie
I
in
don't
2010? Was it The Brave year?
I want to say it might have been Toy Story 3. I know, which I'm on record as being the guy who didn't like that movie as much as the first two.
You are both right. Toy Story 3, Brave, and Cars 2.
All
came out-
three? No way.
Wow.
Pixar's never released 3 films in 1 year.
Oh, no, wait. Toy Story 3. Sorry.
Okay.
Wait, when did Brave come out then?
Brave came out 2012. I don't know why I had that. I read that date wrong.
Okay.
So it was the Toy Story 3 year.
Yeah.
That's controversial for animation fans. But I think I would also give the edge to How to Train Your Dragon because it was fresh IP. It was something fresh.
Yeah. And it really felt good.
And it earned it.
It felt good, that movie.
And to its credit, one of the things that the film did right was this relationship,
Yes.
between Hiccup and Toothless.
Especially for a DreamWorks movie. Like, this
Well,
is...
I mean, let's not knock DreamWorks as a whole.
I will knock DreamWorks Animation.
Apologize to everyone who works at DreamWorks who listens to this podcast, of which I know there are several.
Look, I'm just saying that they have what was that caveman movie?
The
right?
Croods. That was
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah, I know, but that was like a step backwards.
That was Chris Sanders after
And-
he directed. Same director.
Well, look, they have all the same, like all the facial expressions, all the stupid gag humor.
I completely get the gag humor.
Yeah.
And I think Shrek is to blame for some of that.
Shrek is the pinnacle of that stuff.
Yes, the taking away from the timeless aspect. And How to Train Your Dragon is a timeless classic.
Yeah.
It's not reliant on modern day references. And I think one of the things they did was create this relationship that we all have with our pets. They made you look at Toothless and the relationship with Hiccup and say, that's my pet. I see my pet
Which
thing
is
I love
exactly
so
right.
much in that character on screen.
It's
And there's also a larger mystery, too. Like, Toothless is a dragon of one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which is what they presumably address in this new film.
They do. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I forget how much is spoiled in the trailer, so I won't go into it. But there are high stakes in this movie. Like there's certain sequels that have come out recently where the stakes just aren't even worth it, I feel. But this one, they raised them. And there's a good new character. And Hiccup is an older, mature Hiccup, which actually is a little less interesting. I think Hiccup's less interesting because he now has a girlfriend. He's a little more confident and that kind of thing.
Well,
But
it's the hero's journey. This they compare this to the Luke journey almost in Star Wars, right? This is like the hero's journey becoming the hero you're meant to be.
you're right. Luke is very different in Jedi than in A New Hope. You're
And
absolutely
people
right.
relate very differently to
Yeah.
the characters.
Fair enough.
And when you see them, even the second movie being like on the cusp of being, the leader,
Yeah.
and coming with the familial relationships and discovering familial ties that you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
I think you could. The thing that I'm worried about is there was one extended sequence. Everyone calls about in the first film. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. Right? I think it's on Netflix.
Well, there's cartoons.
There's
on
also
Netflix.
cartoons,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about the cartoons also. But there are two scenes that really stand out for me in the first one. One is their first encounter, the dance they have. It's a very playful encounter when Hiccup approaches Toothless,
Yeah.
and Toothless is trapped, and that's that first very puppy dog encounter, right? But also the other moment is the first flight together, and that I think just cinematically is something that has I think very few films have transcended. That still is a high bar for like flight and action and emotional like climax of a film. Does the third film achieve that or reach those points?
I would say cinematically, it's superior to both the first two films. It's extraordinarily beautiful. The complexity of some of the scenes too, and there's a lot of flying. There's probably more flying, I would say, in the third one. It feels that way to me. And there is one scene in particular where my wife, who saw it with us, said after the film, I think that might have been the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. Beautiful
That
as in the
changes your-
moment or visually?
Visually.
Wow.
That
Well,
changes your early review.
Well, it's the pacing of this film is a little different. It's not always what you expect. It's a little slower in places, but I think intentionally so. It's a little more mature in the same way that Hiccup, I think, is a little more grown up. I think that the pacing of this film and the beats are a little different than the first two films. And maybe it's supposed to appeal to a slightly older audience. I don't know, but it's a good movie. It's not as original as the first, but you can't expect that.
Well, the second film did very well, over $600 million worldwide, and hopefully this third film did well.
Will do well.
I hope so. I think there's a big fan base who's very loyal to these characters, and the television show you mentioned, Help, it was on Cartoon Network and Netflix. The cartoon series was animated as well, CG animated as well, but clearly not the same production value because there wasn't as many people working on it. Do you felt like that diminishes what's in the theaters, or you felt like it adds to it?
I have no. You've watched.
I
them.
watched it with
I've never watched
my
them.
son. So I think it diminishes it only in the sense that it clouds my memory of where the movie ended and the shows began.
Right.
Because it set them in between the timelines between the movies. And so it's all a little blurry. And the beats of those shows are not as satisfying as the movies because they have to complete an arc in 21 minutes.
And does it then diminish my excitement for the event of How to Train Your Dragons back in the cinema if I know, well, there's many hours of it already on TV. If I want to see Toothless being cute, I can go watch it on TV.
I don't think that's how my son approaches it.
Oh.
He's like, more.
Like
Right in the vein. Like,
give me more dragons. Dragons in the veins. All right. The thing I also learned was that Roger Deakins, cinematographer, the Coen Brothers films, did Skyfall, won his first Oscar with Blade Runner 2049, was a consultant on all three films. For
All three?
All three.
Wow.
And was brought in to help guide the cinematography process as they were figuring out back in 2010 how to do these beautifully shot and quote-unquote filmed scenes, these action sequences, and then light them months later in the post-processing stage of that film to make them look as beautiful as they are.
That's really fascinating. I'd love to know more about that process because the actual technical processes are polar opposites. Like CG animation takes months and months of work in order to compose and create shots. It's so premeditated, whereas in film you can be much more spontaneous.
Well, not only is it premeditated, it's different teams, right? It's
Right.
Everyone's compartmentalized responsibilities because you have such fine control, right? It's not like one cinematographer on a live action film, Roger Deakins' case, can plan with the director, plan with the team, and say, I want a camera move to do here and put the lights here.
Yeah.
With a CG film, you're blocking out tons of crazy animated sequences, and every shot can have a different lighting scenario, which can be decided on and change months later. So how do you create cohesion?
I wonder if they were able to use something like a motion control or motion tracked analog so that he would be more familiar with moving a camera through space.
Well, they've done that for a bunch of
More recently.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they had that technology, 9 years ago.
Yeah, how do you get handheld? How do you get CG cameras to
Yeah.
look handheld?
That's a really interesting story.
Yeah. So recommendation from Jeremy for How to Train Your Dragon 3?
Yes.
Well, Lego Movie 2 also comes out really soon.
On the 8th? Friday.
Is it this Friday?
Yeah.
Oh,
reviews are
Isn't
good.
Isn't it? Or no, that's the Pokemon movie. I don't know when the Lego movie comes out.
14th?
Next week.
Next week.
15th?
Yeah, 15.
Are you guys excited?
No,
about-
it's 8th. It's the 8th.
Is it also the
It
8th?
is-
The
it is
same
the
day
8th.
as the Pokemon movie?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's trouble for Pokemon. Don't you think? Or is it trouble? It's not trouble for Lego.
91% on Rotten Tomatoes currently. Lego Movie second part. 74 reviews.
Yeah. And wow, that's interesting. I heard it wasn't as good as the first one.
Well, I mean, what could be? It'd be tough.
It would be tough.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I love sci-fi, man. So, and I want to get that sci-fi toy.
Did you see the Lego Batman movie?
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
I love the Lego Batman movie. And that was one that I was surprised I would like as much, given how much I liked the Lego movie.
Was it the first Batman movie that didn't really have to address Batman's origin story?
No, it was still there.
Yeah, it was still there.
It was still there. But yeah, it was more Robin's origin story. What was from the very opening sequence, the opening sequence in the Lego Batman movie, technically still blows my mind every time I see it. Like the heist sequence with the blimp.
Yeah.
And it's just like the special effects. They really leaned into like this. They're not hiding the fact that this is CG. Like this is like, yes, it kind of is stop motion like, but it's not trying to look stop motion like. It's not. It's like, let's go all out with the lighting, all out with the smoke, and this is how we dream of Lego.
I want to know what's the difference between that animation style and Spider-Man. Because they talked about animating on the 2s for Spider-Man and how that was brand new technology. Sony's patented it.
I don't think it was just that, though.
It seemed to me that Lego Movie did that too.
Also as well. It's a very fast shutter. It's more staccato movements.
Well, yeah, it's like the actual characters, they appear to animate at 12 frames a second. I could be wrong about that, but that's how it appears to me.
Yeah.
Whereas the background animations and the camera movements are all 24.
Right. Which is presumably how you would do if you were compositing stop motion with some type of live background would work. Yeah, and all of that kind of creates a illusion that it's tiny figurines being hand animated.
The second part, I'm excited.
Going from movies to TV, we got a bunch of TV previews. I'm super excited for what we do in the shadows. This is the American TV remake of the now classic New Zealand vampire mockumentary. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
The original one?
So amazing.
You got homework this weekend.
It's so amazing. Are you a fan of Flight of the Conchords?
Oh, yeah.
Then
Were you a fan of Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah. Not as much as the rest of the world, but yeah.
You need to watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Sure.
It is a found footage style
mockumentary. It's very absurd.
Yep. Set in New Zealand with vampires who are roommates and who are your archetypal vampires, from your Nosferatu-style vampire to your Dracula-style vampire to your more dandyish vampire.
Where do I find this show?
I believe it's on Netflix, What We Do in the Shadows. But it's a movie, and that movie is now, I think there are like multiple adaptations. There's an American TV adaptation, which FX is debuting, and there's a TV trailer for that. Hilarious. And then there's also, I believe, a New Zealand spin-off about the werewolves that are in the film originally.
I don't know. I'm concerned about. I think you were talking about this on Still Untitled. Adam was talking about how they took the British office, used the same script for the first episode of the U.S. office, and it was really flat. And I wonder how that's going to translate here, if they've learned lessons from that.
Yeah, it's this one's set in America, so there are going to be some more American references, and it looks like there are a few gags that are the same initially, but it's a TV show, not a movie, so they got to stretch that out, and they got to write more, and being more in the world of these characters is something I can't wait to be part of. The writer and director of What We Do in the Shadows was Taika Waititi, who also did Thor Ragnarok and was involved in Flight of the Conchords. And he had been in the movie news lately as a potential replacement for James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And a lot of people said, well, we love Thor Ragnarok, and obviously there's not going to be another Thor, at least in that same tone, because of the events of Infinity War. So why not have Taika Waititi do Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And to his credit, he says he won't do it. He's not doing that movie.
Oh, God. Is Disney going to renege on this? Are they going to go back?
Well, I don't think they can.
James Gunn has a lot of support.
But Taika Waititi says he still has a great relationship with Marvel, still hanging out with them, talking about new stuff, and he wants to do another movie, but he won't do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because that's James Gunn's film.
I mean, I think that's the case for everyone. This is like, this would be the worst project to take because you're always going to be surrounded by this cloud.
Yeah.
Even if the movie's great, you're not going to get credit for it. It's going to be James Gunn's script.
That's right. And it'll be the shroud of what happened. I mean, it will be a part of the discussion.
Yeah, and then we don't know how the actors are dealing with this because
Well, they all came out in support of him.
yeah, and what's to say? Dave Bautista has been exceptionally strong and vocal. I kind of don't expect him to come back.
It could be a whole new cast, which would be really weird.
What?
A whole new cast of characters. Like, you wouldn't recast Drax. You just wouldn't have Drax. The Guardians they evolve and change over time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you don't, Jeremy. That's okay. And you said, what if Disney reneges and rehires James Gunn? Well, that may be less likely given the news this week that James Gunn is in talks to direct the Suicide Squad
For DC,
reboot for Warner Brothers.
for the other guys.
For the other guys.
Wow.
The Suicide Squad is the name of the reboot, and he already wrote the script for it, I believe. And so if he jumps on that one,
Is it a reboot or is it a sequel?
it's a reboot. I
Oh,
think it's a
thank
new take.
goodness.
It won't be necessarily the same characters. It's called The Suicide Squad.
There aren't any other cases of Marvel directors directing a DC film yet, have there been?
Didn't Joss Whedon go help with Batman v Superman? Or no, with
you're right,
Justice League.
Ooh.
And he directed Avengers 1 and 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, it has
Yikes.
happened.
Well,
It's all work for hire.
Didn't work out. What We Do in the Shadows is not on Netflix. Just FYI.
You can.
I'll
buy
find it.
You'll find it.
No,
on
it's all
iTunes.
over the place. You just
Yeah.
gotta buy it.
It's fine on iTunes. Rent it.
Yeah.
You'll rent it and then you'll want to buy it. It's fun for the family too.
I'm not gonna buy it. Do you really watch movies that often that you buy them?
Economically, I'm like, I don't want to rent it and then want to watch it a year later and have to rent it again.
There's this one Infinity War that I like watching.
You've seen that what, twice now?
Like 2 or 3.
Suicide Squad 1, notable because it was one of the first films as part of this build up to Justice League, the second film with the appearance of Ben Affleck as Batman after Batman v Superman. And the news on the Batman front is Ben Affleck is hanging up the cowl. He's not doing it anymore. He was Batman for 2.5 movies. He's done. The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, coming out in 2020, I believe.
2021 now.
2021 will feature presumably a younger Batman, and as Matt Reeves says, will be more of a noir story. Won't be the origin story.
Awesome.
And will be Batman as a detective. Now, we've heard that
Great.
promise before.
Like a year 1 type storyline. Maybe
they
year
said,
2.
it's
so-
explicitly not year 1. And I don't even care if it's like year 1 or year 2. Just show me the world's greatest detective. And I think when you say you're going to write a noir film, that gives me hope. Because most great noir stories are also great mysteries. And I don't think that we've talked about superhero films crossing genres, I don't think we've seen a great superhero mystery story yet.
No.
A whodunit.
Goodbye,
caper.
Ben Affleck. I thought he was underrated as Batman in Batman v Superman. I thought he was terrible as Batman in Justice League. I think it's going to be the forgettable Batman. I'm still like a Christian Bale Batman, still the best to me, even though he got tired.
I'm with you on that. And I loved Michael Keaton.
I mean, if
No
we're
love
actually
for George Clooney.
no. The actual best Batman is Kevin Conroy. He's played the best Batman.
Who's that?
He's the voice of
The voice of Batman in the Batman animated series.
Oh.
He's the one who-
with Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Who best did the duality in the voices between Bruce Wayne and Batman, where neither sounded like a caricature, but had clear identities.
and he was the most detective-like of the bunch.
There you
Real
go.
investigative. Batman as a detective has been in the films, right? In the very first Batman, Tim Burton Batman 1989, you had him reverse engineering the Joker serum,
Yeah.
the chemistry, to find out which combination of household ingredients would activate the Joker serum. That was a plot point. We had that really bad, I think, attempt at showing Batman being a detective in The Dark Knight, where he goes through this elaborate process of drilling out a brick from a wall with a bullet in it and reverse engineering the shape of the bullet to find a fingerprint on the bullet.
It was dumb.
That was really stupid.
I bought every minute of that.
Oh my goodness.
That's the best Batman movie.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
It is for that scene, the interrogation scene, which
the
is
Joker-
going to go down as the greatest Batman scene of all time.
Do you know that was the first thing they shot when they made that film?
No.
Was Batman and the Joker in the interrogation room?
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's the first scene they shot together.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to see a good mystery. I want to see a good caper. I know people are going to complain. The studio wants to see more Bruce Wayne in costume, Bruce Wayne, Batman beating up crooks. I don't want to see the Batman hanging the criminal off the edge of the building, screaming at them to give up the goods as the way he becomes a detective.
I hope there's no supervillain in this. I hope it's a mobster story, like something like that, because that will reinforce the detective nature.
Give me some corruption, some police corruption. Give me some. I mean, we had a bunch of that in Dark Knight, but yeah, I want the mob story. Dark Knight. That's a really good point. Dark Knight is a really good heist and mob film. That's one of the reasons that it transcends genres, the superhero genre.
You know what I was doing on Super Bowl day? I went to see Spider-Man again because I was hosting a birthday party. Yeah.
Which Spider-Man?
The new one.
Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Where?
It was showing again, like in XD. Like,
oh, I thought you meant like
seats.
you had it at
It's
home.
great. No.
Wow.
We watched it there. But so I wanted to ask you, like, who's the bad guy? What's his name?
Kingpin.
Yeah, Kingpin. What is his? Does he have a superpower? Is
No.
he a super villain?
No,
He's
he's just rich
he's
and
just
strong
big.
and big.
He's super strong though, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that Spider-Man is supposed to be more scrawny.
Yeah.
Like the Kingpin versus the Spider-Man that a lot of people grew up with was teenager Spider-Man, and Kingpin was a, he's in a Daredevil show. Vincent D'Onofrio is a big dude. He can throw Spider-Man around.
That's what?
Kingpin in the Daredevil TV show?
He's
That's
not the main
Kingpin.
villain in the first season.
Yes,
He is.
I thought that
That's-
was like Finch or something.
That's Wilson Finch Wilson Fisk is the Kingpin. Wait, what?
I didn't get that.
Wilson
I didn't
Fisk
get that.
from the Daredevil. That's the Kingpin.
Come on, I'm not the only person who didn't get that, right?
Wow, that's effective storytelling there,
Dude, they
because
don't
one of the
call him
Kingpin's
Kingpin.
like major plot points is no one knows who the Kingpin is except for like a couple people. So this really worked.
They don't
Did
call
you
him
ever
Kingpin.
Did you? Well, of course not, because the Netflix version was the gritty. He's the Kingpin of crime. He's the one who controls pulls the strings. Did you not see Daredevil season 2 where
No.
he falls in love with Vanessa?
I tried it and I didn't like it.
But like his big thing, his crutch is that he loves his wife
Yeah.
Vanessa and has a son, and that's Into the Spider-Verse. That's
Yeah.
who he's trying to save. Wow. Okay, let's put. This is still better than the 1970s live-action Spider-Man TV show, in which the villain, the Kingpin, was someone who pinned people by putting a pin on them and controlled their minds
Okay,
with a mind control pin.
that's different.
Yeah. But yeah, the same character. Same character. Originally a Spider-Man villain.
I was getting them kind of confused.
They're
so
both in New York.
That's good.
New York.
Now I can get them confused.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. You're going to want to listen or rewatch this episode and spot the moment that Jeremy makes that connection.
Didn't they make? Aren't they underneath like the Fisk something in that movie? Like the Fisk
Into Spider-Verse?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's his building.
it's called the Fisk plant or whatever, right?
Tower or
They do
something.
mention that.
Sure,
So
yeah.
I see. I thought that was some sly reference.
No, it's
But-
his building.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the Kingpin.
I thought I was like, I got it, but I didn't get it. All right.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad you got to see Spider-Verse again.
Yeah.
Was it just as good?
The visuals, man. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, that movie.
Music and visuals and story.
The music is so much better in the theater, like in the actual movie. Than the soundtrack is such a limited selection from that
Yeah,
soundtrack.
I mean it's why it's one that if you still have a chance, if it's still in theaters, watch it in theaters, because a good sound system, a good screen,
Yeah.
is a great way to watch.
I was paying attention to the surrounds too, like the swirling things they do during the temporal stuff. Nice sound work.
Yeah. A couple updates. Last final TV updates. Why The Last Man is ordered to series at FX, and there's a first teaser picture of York, the main character, in this show, presumably from the opening episode. This is a longtime favorite comic book series, long-running series for comic books fans, and has been in development for a long time. It will star.
It's a little strange. It's super dark.
Yes, it will star Barry Keoghan, who was in Dunkirk, I want to say. Yeah, he was in Dunkirk, and he was also in the movie Killing of a Sacred Deer as the kid in that film, the villain kid in that film. Not who I would have cast, but better than Shia LaBeouf, who was long rumored to be in the role when David Caruso was going to... David Caruso. The guy who did Suburbia.
I don't know. There's just letters and words being thrown about.
I'm
now.
sorry. What was the name of that film?
It's not important.
I thought I had something. Never mind. All right. That's the show I'm looking forward to. Hopefully see more of it when that comes out. And then last FX, a lot of FX news this week. The final season of Legion was announced for next year.
A little bit of a surprise that it was announced to be the final season. No one, the showrunner Noah Hawley, came out and indicated he'd always had a 3-season plan for this show. Season 1 is a masterpiece, just a masterpiece of a very different kind of superhero story. It's all it's all like a psychosis, mental health kind of situation. So very few powers are ever exhibited. Season 2 like slips a little bit, but it's still just the storytelling is bizarre. And there's an excellent cliffhanger from 2 to 3 that I have no idea how they're going to resolve.
DJ Caruso was the director of the movie Disturbia, starring Shia LaBeouf, and that was the actor-director combo rumored to do Why the Last Man when that was going to be a film. But I'm glad it's a TV series. All right, that does it for pop culture news. Before we move on to our next segment, I want to thank the other sponsor that makes this episode possible, and that's MailChimp. MailChimp is an easy-to-use marketing platform with a name that might make it sound like they only do email. But they do just about everything to help businesses grow with email ads, postcards, landing pages, audience management tools, automations, reports, and more. You'll know you're doing marketing right with MailChimp because growth looks different to everyone, and MailChimp helps guide you make the right marketing decisions for your business. You can create a customer list, connect an online store, test an email variation, or analyze a marketing report with MailChimp, and they understand that business owners would rather focus on their passion rather their focus on marketing, so they automated the marketing process to make it easier for you to get back to doing what you love. Go to MailChimp.com and sign up for free to see how MailChimp can help grow your business. MailChimp, they do more than mail.
Did you see that pop up?
I saw this pop up. We have kind of a crazy first story. It starts with Google released a new extension for Chrome called the password checkup, where they essentially use this extension as you're typing in passwords, checking against databases to make sure that that password hasn't been compromised in data breaches that are known.
Well, let me set this up a little bit. So they have actually amassed terabytes of passwords and usernames that have been leaked to the dark web and places like that, where they have themselves taken upon themselves to collect every one that they can possibly find.
They've purchased packages of
exactly
pirated accounts and hacked accounts and passwords.
Terabytes of text. I mean, wow. So that's a lot. And they will cross-reference that list with not just the password you're typing in, but anything stored in Chrome, your bank account, whatever you have.
So I installed this last night, and it just gives you like a green check mark if you have no problems, and it seems to be working. And then Jeremy installed it too, and just now.
I know, this was the first one I got. I just got flagged.
So where you went to a website where you were going to log in?
I did. I went to a website and I logged into it, and it put up a red thing saying, it appears that this login may be compromised. You should change your password.
Now, are they matching username and password, or just?
Yes.
Okay, not just the password, because it's not impossible that people could have similar or the same passwords,
right?
Just coincidentally.
Exactly. No, I believe that it pairs the two. I think that this particular login credential has been compromised.
That is terrifying.
And it was on a website that you use frequently. We don't need to name which one.
Yeah, that I'm usually already logged into.
Yes.
Except just not on this laptop. So that's interesting. That's definitely very interesting, and I'm glad that I have this installed. Now, the question is there any chance that this extension could be breached? Right? And is there any data that could be gleaned from that if one were to do so? I don't know. So that is a concern that I've seen some express in forums. Some people choose not to store their username and passwords in browsers to begin with, which I suppose is the most...
I use 1Password, so I actually don't know any of my passwords. I know like one password.
Right. I use that too for my most secure websites, but for many lesser accounts, I do store them in the browser, and so this is a case where doing that has now made it so that I know that password has been compromised. There you go.
Speaking of Chrome started as in a Build recently stopped the auto playing of videos with sound on a number of sites, which was heralded by us and many others. But it does it in this sort of unequal way. It tried to enable them on sites that you would want that autoplay feature, like Netflix, but not on sites where it's intrusive, where it's an ad. Well, Firefox, their latest build, which came out yesterday or 2 days ago, now has this feature as well. But it is very strict. It is basically, do you want autoplay to happen at all? And you can say yes, no, or no.
Yeah. You can't whitelist sites.
I don't believe so. I believe you can have it like request if you want.
Okay.
So like at the ask feature that happens in Chrome. But I sort of dig this because I think the autoplay scourge just needs to die, and maybe browser functionality to kill it off is the way to do it. Because I don't like even the Netflix autoplay. Let me choose if I want to keep going.
Yeah, you mean like the sequential autoplay.
Uh-oh, I just installed it. And I got a flag as well.
Google password checkup gave you a flag?
Immediately? Was it on your Google account?
Because
It was not on my Google account.
the first thing it does is it checks the most recent sites you've logged into.
Yes.
So is that what you got a flag for?
I got a flag.
For
And I
a
just-
commonly used website too?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
Unsecure. Insecure.
Yeah. Are
Unsecured.
you glad you installed this?
Yes.
I think this is a really good extension.
Now, does it create a false insecurity if you're relying on it too much?
Well, like I don't think anybody's going to say, "Okay, I can be lax about my security now that I've got this cool extension."
I think
It's
you
better
underestimate how much people trust big companies like Google.
Right.
Oh, fair. But it's better than what it was 5 minutes ago for you. Out of sight, out of mind.
Totally. Very true. Yeah. And I'm glad that now it's in Chrome. It's on all my computers.
Yeah.
And as I'm browsing internet, it will just pop up and let me know someone has my login. Damn. That's crazy. Terabyte
Could you imagine
big data files.
Could you imagine that list?
just being traded.
I mean, but this is like the master list. This is everything that they've amassed.
Right.
I mean, to whoever those engineers are that have access to this list are just inherently powerful individuals. And they are the ones you need to have trust in.
Presumably, it's not like a list you can just open and browse to an Excel sheet.
You don't think it's a TXT file?
No, I don't think it's a TXT
I don't know.
file.
On some level it is.
I'm sure it's encrypted in some way.
But there are people at Google whose job it is, who get paid $100,000 a year to go on the dark web and download and buy
then
all
buy
of
these
the
lists.
lists that they can find.
That's right.
And they're perfectly readable then. And then they incorporate them into their master list.
Yeah, but presumably those people are. I'm less worried about those people not being trustworthy than I'm worried about the people who are not trustworthy buying those who don't work for Google.
Oh, of course.
Because anyone can do it.
No doubt.
Right?
No doubt. Absolutely.
Right? So.
I'm just saying that there are people, like whether or not you trust the Google service, there are individuals at Google with whom, you just have to have faith, because whether or not you use their services, they have your username and password if it's ever been leaked.
Right. Secure your passwords, folks.
Yeah.
What about your tweets? Need to secure your tweets?
No, they need
Don't
to.
they last forever?
They just need to not be tweeted, I think.
Well, Jack Dorsey says that they're considering, and they've long been considering, a way to edit your tweets, but in a way that still keeps the document of record, keeps the original.
So what is the divine solution?
So like kind of how YouTube does it with like it just says edited, or like how Reddit does it.
That's what Reddit does. And you have a time, right? Like you can't edit after a certain amount of time.
So what's he suggesting?
So, first of all, this is with, I think it was an interview done on, Joe Rogan's podcast? Yeah. And the excuse that Jack Dorsey has for not being able to edit tweets is a bullshit one.
Oh.
The excuse he said is, well, because we were originally based off SMS, you can't take back an SMS. And
That's
because
dumb.
philosophically, you can't take back a text, then we won't let people take back a tweet.
That's cute.
I mean, I can understand a situation where you put out a tweet, a ton of people comment or quote tweet it, and then you edit it to change the context. And then the replies and the interactions are all out of context. But there's ways around that.
And one option he brings up himself is that you could also build in a delay. And a lot of websites, a lot of forums have like 5-second windows where if you have a typo, or you need to just decide you need to clarify something.
It's my favorite Gmail feature.
5 to 10 seconds, you can take it back. I think that'll be okay. That's a very reasonable way to assume that the way people operate, and a way to work with people's need for immediate posting of something. And it gets rid of the long-term effects of people responding to a chain and then someone editing something from the original top part of the chain to take what you've responded out of context.
Most of the time, whenever I want to edit something, it's because I just look like an idiot because I used the wrong spelling of a word. I wrote a homonym for the word I meant, or whatever.
Or you typed some word twice because the way you think.
Yeah. So I just want to fix a typo, please.
It's a typo. Yeah. And a lot of times, like on Reddit, for example, if you edit something, you might not be able to see the original, but at least it'll be marked as edited. Right? This was edited with a timestamp.
What
that
if
would
you
be
could,
useful. I don't need it to be Wikipedia. It doesn't need to have like the history, the log changes of edits.
So, I listen to Jack Dorsey, because he's on a podcast tour right now.
Oh, yeah?
He's on like the Bill Simmons show and all this other stuff. I found him completely uncompelling about all of this stuff. It was always like, hey, what are you doing about harassment on your platform? What are you doing about people wanting to edit tweets? And it was always like, well, like every answer was like that. And I feel like Twitter hasn't changed dramatically in the past, like, how long has it been around? 12 years, 10 years, something like that? Like, we've gotten 140 to 280 characters, and like quote tweeting and retweeting has changed.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm that displays tweets has changed, but I hate that. So like Twitter hasn't changed dramatically.
I'm with you.
Since it started. And he seems completely resistant to any changes that have been long requested.
I don't envy his position because as the person in charge of that decision, if he makes the wrong one, there's a lot of people out of a job. There's a lot of people who lost their fortunes. So I understand that that's a delicate decision, and these decisions have to be made carefully and tested and rolled out. But I'm with you. I think that they need to be more aggressive. So what is the solution to the edited tweets?
There is no solution. They're still figuring it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
They're still figuring it out.
All right.
They're thinking about it. I think the one that I would be happy with is a window, a 5 to 10 second window for you to fix your typos and have it marked as having been edited at a certain timestamp.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a reasonable compromise.
So have a log of all the change edits.
No, I don't want all the law. I don't need it to be Wikipedia.
Ah.
I don't need to see what the original tweet was. I think the edit tweet button makes sense for 5 to 10 seconds for typos.
Yeah.
And if you did make that change, it then has a marker that says was edited at this time.
And does it go live for that 10 seconds, or is it kind of in a queue?
No, I think it goes live.
Okay, so
I think the immediacy is important.
Okay.
For Twitter. But the 5 to 10 seconds I don't think is long enough for the lasting impact to change. Like you're not, unless you're, even if you're crazy, even if you're Barack Obama, right, and you have millions of followers and you tweet something, you're not going to get enough responses in the 5 to 10 second window where if you change the meaning of a word, it's going to have a dramatic impact.
Do you think you should be able to delete tweets as you can now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the proper way, if you want to clarify for clarity, if you want to change your intent, then add a new tweet. Respond to your own thread. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge. I mean, these should. I think it should be documents of record, but you should also make room for human error.
We're getting ever and ever closer to a pop-up that just says, "Are you sure you want to tweet that?"
I
need that.
Very clever
I need that in
extension.
my life.
The defrosting of the freezing your credit card. Are you sure you want to buy that? Are you sure you want to tweet that? Read that, or one that reads it back to you out loud before you tweet.
Oh God.
That's what CarPlay does with any text messages, by the way.
Just reads it out by Siri reads it back to you.
Yeah.
But you can't change the voice. you can't set the voice for
Boy,
what it's
when Morgan
dictating.
Freeman reads it back to me, it sounds a lot better.
All my text messages sound awesome.
Twitter's not the only one dealing with this because YouTube is dealing with some suggested changes on their platform because there's been brigading on the dislike button recently. So the YouTube Rewind video, which came out a month ago, is now the most disliked video on the platform. I think 15 million dislikes, and it only has that number of dislikes because people are like, you know what'd be fun? Let's dislike the hell out of this video. And that's been happening on a number of videos. And frankly, I think what the YouTube is investigating, whether to either disappear this whole dislike functionality to begin with, or just make it invisible to every user as stats. So it would still be visible to the creator, but it wouldn't be visible to just everyone visiting the page.
And it's useful to YouTube as part of their SEO.
Oh, and the algorithm for surfacing content that people are interested in, right?
Right.
I get all of that, but they have brigading going on, and you have to address that. So hopefully they'll come up with a solution.
No, we had that recently. The brigading on the Premiere feature. We tested releasing a video using the YouTube Premiere feature, which sets a notification out to subscribers, but the video isn't live yet, but will be live in a certain amount of time, and it lets you chat and live chat up until that point, and people hate it.
Oh, I've never used it.
Hated it.
Because they got a notification and there was nothing to see?
Yes, because what they got was a placeholder, and they didn't, because YouTube wants people to be engaged in real time. They want people to gather and make, for better or worse, like TV, right? To eventize video releases.
Yeah.
And it could work for some places. A very successful series like Hot Ones could work, right?
Right.
And they kind of do that their own way by releasing teasers and build up in their own way.
It's a matter of expectations and managing that.
But I think the users who are YouTube native to the platform, who rely on their home screen and notifications, they want the behavior to not change. They want, when they get a notification, they want that to mean you can click through and watch the video.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sold something else. No bait and switch. So it was a good experiment. Probably won't be running with that anytime in the future. But we got so many dislikes, so many comments. People don't like the Premiere feature.
You got the message.
Got the message. More messaging from Disney on their upcoming Disney Plus platform coming out this year. CEO Bob Iger did another quarterly earnings call with some more details. Is this new? Yeah, this is new.
Well,
I think we know about this. Captain Marvel being the first film. That's,
yes, whoever wrote this did not know that. However, what we did learn from this is that they're going to have an investor day in April, and that's when we're going to find out all the details about Disney Plus.
Like price.
Yes, availability,
the
content launch.
Yeah. So that's really all that this is.
April.
And they're going to continue to let 20th Century Fox make R-rated movies. Just not under the Disney brand.
I don't think that Disney would stop wanting to make money from Deadpool, right?
Well,
like $1 billion at the box office is a lot of money.
It was a question because they're very protective of their family-friendly brand.
I also don't think that they were going to ever take away that 20th Century Fox banner.
No.
Right? Like that's still valuable. The fanfare is part of pop culture as well. There's value in that. And that'd be a Buena Vista company.
April
a Disney company.
11th is Disney's Investor Day.
You think they would drop Disney Live that day or Disney Plus that day or
I
the day
don't.
after?
I don't, but that would be amazing.
That would be pretty amazing.
No, how could they do that then? We wouldn't know how much it was. How would anyone sign up?
Sign up now. Get to watch first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian.
It's like this new Fortnite killer that came out from Respawn.
Apex Legends?
Yeah, Apex Legends. Like that was announced and launched on the same day.
Sorry, Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
It'll never happen again. That's from Respawn, the spin-off, the developers of Call of Duty who left to form Respawn, made Titanfall 2, and I believe also working on a VR game for.
It's a free-to-play, squad-based Fortnite.
How many players?
Isn't it 100? I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, it is a battle royale, but it is squad only, and it's squads of 3. But there's different classes that you can choose, so you can create different types of squads.
that's a tricky release because it came out. It's coming out 3 weeks before Anthem, which is the big BioWare EA game, which is supposed to be like a little Destiny-like. So it's a lot of big EA multiplayer games coming out at the same time. One you have to pay for and pay a lot for if you want early access, and one that's just free to play right now. I guess they don't care as long as there's success, as long as they can take a little bit out of that Fortnite pie.
That sweet Fortnite pie.
Sweet, sweet. It tastes like money. It's key lime green.
Netflix's biggest rival.
Speaking of money, we're all in the podcast game, and literally there's like dozens of dollars in the game.
Goodness.
It's just amazing how much money you can make on podcasts. Unless you're Gimlet Media, who has just been acquired by Spotify for $230 million. This is the network that publishes Reply All, great podcast.
Dude,
Science Versus.
Zach just recommended that to me, and I listened to the Long Distance episode. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. Do you know the one?
No.
This is I'm told is the most famous episode of Reply All, where he gets a phone call from a scam where
he pursues it.
where they tell him that his computer has been compromised.
Yeah.
And then they have to log into his computer and fix it. And what they do is they make it look like he has a virus, and then he has to pay money. But he plays their game and then gets to know these guys, and eventually researches the company and does this amazing story on it.
That's awesome. I mean, Gimlet produces amazing shows beyond Reply All, like Startup, which is an Alex Bloomberg show, Science Versus with Wendy Zuckerman. Spotify basically came out with a statement. They said people that are listening to podcasts on the platform spend beyond triple the amount of time on the platform than when listening to music. And so they're now wanting to get in the podcast game. And the way to do it, I guess, is just to buy other networks.
So are these podcasts, which the model has been free,
and get it wherever you want. Yeah.
Spotify paywalls now?
So Reply All put out a tweet saying that even though we're being acquired, we are committed to podcasts being available via RSS. I don't know. There's something about that that's it's really weird. Like, could it be exclusive on Spotify for a few days before it goes out publicly?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. I pay for a Spotify subscription. If this is like the Amazon style of something I already pay for because I have a set expectation for what I get from it, in this case, streaming music.
Now there's a value add.
And then I get a value add, and they're investing up to $500 million this year in podcast acquisitions.
Whoa.
I'd be happy to keep the Spotify app on longer, so I'm not only listening to music, but also subscribing to podcasts.
Wasn't this an inevitability? I mean, this
What?
whole podcast free forever felt like it was behind what we see the model in video.
Free to play. It was the free to play for audio.
Yeah, free to play for audio was eventually going to collapse somewhere.
No, it's ad supported, guys. Free to play is usually like microtransactions.
Yeah. Well, if you just look at how video is done with ad supported video, that has also essentially gone by the wayside.
Yeah. Yeah, but it seems to me like the biggest podcasts have always just been ad supported.
I mean, maybe that's not.
I mean, the ones
not
and
gonna return
podcast is just a broad term, right? Like the type of podcasts that Gimlet produces are productions. They're essentially TV shows and docuseries,
Much like NPR's.
or you know what New York Times is doing with their daily podcasts, which
Serial.
are very different than more radio showy podcasts like the one you're listening to right now.
Yeah, what's our price, by the way? If Gimlet were interested,
It's
or
literally
Spotify.
It's like 3 or 4 Diet Cokes.
Yes.
Hey, I'd like
What's the going market?
cable car coffee, please.
Oh, that's like artisanal too.
Yeah.
Like doubles our pricing.
Get in touch. You can email me directly. Gimlet Media or Spotify Media. I'm already a paying subscriber. Let's get into some rest of this tech news.
Have you downloaded the Warby Parker app, Norm?
No, why
Come
would I
on.
want to do that?
Do you wear Warby Parker glasses?
I do.
Okay, so do I. Do you?
Not this pair, but my previous pair was.
So you have the app, more than likely. Your app, you don't have an iPhone 10, so that's an issue. So I'll be talking to you. If you have one of the new iPhones, the new Warby Parker app will augment reality glasses onto your face.
Can I do this for my baby?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm sold.
We did it for my kids, and as far as I can tell, the glasses are proper scale. Like, they don't scale them to. That's part of the point, right? You want to see what the glasses look like on your face, not sized to your face.
Because they're not variable size glasses.
Exactly.
They're fixed size
Yeah,
glasses.
you have to get the frames as they are. And I got to tell you, this is one of those AR experiences that doesn't just use the camera. It uses the cool face mapping technology and looks really good. Like it is on your face. It looks like a photograph. In the proper lighting, it looks like a photograph.
I feel like there's a missed opportunity for them to partner with a Snapchat and build it as a Snapchat filter.
Yeah.
That's existing user base. They already have the apps.
I don't know. I agree with you. That would have been a great partnership.
Right.
But this is actual utility inside the app where you're already browsing to buy it.
Then you're trying to get someone to press the buy button who's looking for glasses.
Can you like turn your head and like it just like it works super well?
What happens if
we're getting live
wearing the
demo?
same
Let's
glasses?
do it.
Any glasses you want to try.
Oh my God, that looks pretty good.
All right.
Turn around. Oh, that works really well.
Jeremy, are those your model glasses, your frame glasses that you currently have?
No.
Do you have your frame glasses?
Yes, I do.
So why don't you try taking a screenshot with the AR?
I don't want to do that.
And then no, do that. Take a screenshot with the AR, and then do a side by side with a photo of you wearing your actual glasses, and tell me how well they compare.
I'll definitely put that in show notes.
There you go. These are my actual glasses.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. There is a camera button. Does that?
While Jeremy's doing that, I'm gonna go through a couple of quick news notes in tech. Microsoft's getting ready to release Xbox Live functionality onto iOS, probably not only for checking your achievements, but also for friends lists, multiplayer functionality, and stuff into mobile games. So mobile game developers can tap into Xbox Live SDK and keep all your achievement points in one place, because we know achievement points work so well on iOS devices. Game Center RIP. Next up, we have some Apple news. Oh, Jeremy, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, that was quick.
You can tell. You can tell the difference.
Let's do a quick side by
first of all-
side. Let's see. Let me see if I can A/B test.
Okay, go ahead. Boom.
All right.
Swipe
that's
back and forth.
one, and that's pretty good. I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
But how they sit on your face, because there's no the thing that they did not do, in addition to not actually having lenses, is shadowing.
They do
How
reflect.
dare
They
they?
do reflect.
But they don't have the shadow of the glasses.
Oh, you mean like
on
on my
your
face?
face.
Oh, I was like, why does that look like it so good?
That was awesome. Taking off the glasses and the same glasses reappear on his face.
That is funny.
It's a magic trick. There you go.
You want to try it?
Were those 1-to-1 overlap? Oh my God, I have glasses on my glasses.
Yeah.
Here, tell me about the Apple shakeups in the Apple SVP world.
Well, so what's her name? Angela Earhart? What's her name? The retail executive. They just announced that she's departing. And what I'm happy about is that they're bringing somebody in-house to replace her as the senior executive, someone who's been there for 30 years.
But who was already in charge of something, HR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So now it's under one roof, HR and retail, which seems to be an awful
she's-
lot of responsibility.
She's retaining her HR responsibilities?
Yes, in charge of retail and people.
That's too much
I
responsibility.
think so too.
But I am glad that they are hiring somebody from inside. I don't like it when people hire the competitors' executives for the executive role. I feel like you should be able to work your way up any company, especially the big ones. So I was happy to see that. I don't. Who knows why they're changing it around?
My glasses have been retired.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I can't do a comparison.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find one that's very similar. Okay. Do you think the Apple retail experience has diminished over time? I
haven't gone in an Apple store in like a year.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's been interesting because they've gotten rid of cash registers. Like you can buy something from anybody.
You can just walk in and grab something and walk out.
Yeah, you can
if
buy it
pay
on your
yeah.
phone. Unfortunately, the whole tech support aspect, which is a lot of why you visit an Apple store, isn't great. A lot of times people walk in and there's no slots, or they have to wait in a line to check in, and it's like, I don't know what the solution is to that other than they just need more geniuses and more slots.
They operate like mildly like a big Starbucks too. I feel like there's people that just like hang out there now.
Oh, you mean people?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny if you go to a mall and there's the Microsoft store across from the Apple store, it's almost comedic. Like everyone hangs out in the Apple store, that's for sure.
But you can play NBA Live 2K at the Microsoft store.
And there's kid tables and like all kinds of things to do. And certainly if you just need to browse the internet, that's the place you can do it. It's useful, like for using their new products. It's a wonderful experience. Like you walk in, you don't have to talk to anybody. There's just tables everywhere, and you pick up the new iPad Pro and you say, "Yep, that's how it feels." And look at that 120 hertz.
I like that. That's your definition of a good retail experience. I didn't have to talk to anyone.
Isn't that a lot of their design?
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is.
it's like we just said you can buy something without talking to anybody.
I had an experience where I was buying something, and I tried to do the buy the thing online and walk in and walk out without talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
What happened?
It was not a product. Anything that has a serial number on it, even something like a keyboard cover for your iPad, needs to be physically checked out.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, so you couldn't buy it on your phone?
I could buy it on my phone, but then it said wait an hour before someone goes through inventory and identifies the one you can take. And
Oh,
here's
weird.
the one. So I had to cancel that order and then just say, here is physically the one I want. Check me out and let me pay you the monies. Last week we talked about the big FaceTime bug with Apple that still has not been fixed yet,
Well, they shut down the group FaceTime.
but they haven't patched
No, but
the
they
bug
haven't
yet.
patched it.
And the family that found the bug may be getting a bug bounty for it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, so apparently it was a young lad who discovered the bug, and then he and his mother reported it. And this is kind of the bad news: is they reported it about a week before it went public, like before it went viral,
Yeah.
and Apple finally shut it down. They reported it to tech support. Tech support did nothing. They recontacted them, and then eventually they were asked to create a developer account and submit like an official bug report.
No DLTT.
Crazy.
You need a direct
Crazy.
line to Tim.
So of course now, like Congress is very upset, and an unnamed executive, has flown to the boy's house and met with the family, or will, I think has, and talked about how could they improve their bug reporting process.
Oh boy.
Jim went to Arizona.
Oh.
You know what though? The bug bounty program like pays out.
How, dude? Do you know about their bug bounty program? Because it does pay out, but it's invite only.
Yeah.
Like unlike almost every other major tech company.
No, but I think this kid is getting paid out.
I think so, but I think that's a PR move.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like. Unfortunately, most just random bugs that are, things like being able to listen in on people's phones does not actually result in a bug bounty.
This kid's going to be able to buy at least like 10 iPhones with how much money he'll come away with.
It could be substantial. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5 or 6 figures.
You can do a lot of group
Five-
FaceTime
five-
with 5 iPhones,
5
10
figures.
iPhones. Once they turn that feature back on.
That's true.
Once they patch everything.
Yeah.
Latest rumors with this year's iPhone, potentially not only a second camera but a third camera lens.
No, that is next year. Did you say that?
Not yet. Next, not this
Yeah.
2019, but 2020 would be 3 camera lenses and laser 3D cameras.
Well, now that's interesting because they're saying that it's unlike the current laser or IR tech, which can pick up things within a couple feet. This will be able to pick up things within 15 feet or so, and you'll be able to really do some room scanning at that point.
Slam
Yeah,
on your phone.
seriously.
Yeah, simultaneous localization, and mapping.
Yeah, so I mean that's fascinating, and I'll be curious. They're saying that the third lens will be used as an ultra wide angle, so you'll be able to do some pretty sweet photography. That's interesting, given that we're due for a major update this year to the iPhone. If they're making such a substantial change to the camera system next year, that'll be interesting. I mean, I guess they've made camera improvements on the S years, but this seems like a big one.
So what is this year's upgrade?
I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be 5G.
Yeah.
That's next year too. Maybe they're going to do like another S-style, iteration this year.
Yikes.
Because next year's phone is bound to be like the one you want.
That's a 3-year upgrade cycle potentially for people who bought the 10.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so smart of them. They know people can't wait and will buy one after 2 years and then have to buy one next year. Oh, devilish.
You didn't mention the Xbox Live story.
I did.
You did.
Oh,
While you're taking pictures of yourself.
okay.
Nintendo, huge success on the Switch, successful enough that they can redevelop another Metroid game. Well, they also want to be on other platforms. We had Super Mario Run on the iOS. That was a internet-connected only single tap Mario game for the longest time. And now their next game for mobile devices has been announced, and it is the return of Dr. Mario. I think Dr. Mario is one of those games that people remember better in their head, and because of when it came out and because of the novelty of it, than what it actually was.
My kid was talking about getting this game immediately. He
What-
loves Dr. Mario.
What do they call these kind of games? Like mixed 3 or that? Like this is a style of game. This is just a traditional
Oh, you're talking like the Bewitched Match 3.
match 3. That's what it is.
Yeah, Bewitched style. Or not Bewitched. Not Bewitched. What's the.
Bejeweled.
Bejeweled. Thank you. The Match 3 style. But
Yeah.
that genre has reached its apex with something like Bejeweled. Do we need a Dr. Mario again?
No.
Yeah. It's got to get those pills to match up. I think that's it. Does it for technology news.
Oh, excellent. Then I shall play music, and we shall rejoice.
Now it's time for a moment of science.
It's time to say happy birthday, gentlemen.
Happy birthday.
It is happy birthday time to one of the most important things in all of science, the periodic table of elements.
Oh, yeah.
It turns 150 this year, officially, the International Year of the Periodic Table, which seems strange,
150.
is happening.
How many elements did it have when it debuted?
Oh, good question. I don't know.
Okay.
Gonna have to go look up my Grigor Mendeleev history to figure that out. But how many elements do you think it has now?
Well, I don't have a point of reference. I don't know.
150.
It's 118 right
Oh.
now. And most of the elements that have been discovered, like past 99, exist for a fraction of a second. And
50.
there was 50 when it first started.
Yep.
Wow.
Over doubled.
I wonder what is element 50? Or what was the highest element on there?
Right. The highest atomic weight?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. I've enabled a monster here.
Kishore, where would vibranium sit on the table?
I think vibranium's just a takeoff of titanium, right? Can we agree?
So titanium adjacent
Titanium adjacent, yeah.
on the table?
So that would be what, like
Oh my God.
22?
Look at this. It's so ugly. Didn't they think to organize it like we have it now?
It is still arranged in rows and columns.
Can't read
It
this.
just didn't spread out like it has.
Is it uranium? What is U?
Yeah, uranium,
All right, that's the highest one.
which I think is like 92 or so. Anyway, so we're at 118, and there are still groups trying to pursue finding more elements beyond this. Many scientists think this is a waste of time because these elements won't exist for any amount of time. So, like, why pursue it? Except it's cool. And one of the best long reads of the year so far was written by Sam Keen, who's a famous science author who's written a lot of books around chemistry. Disappearing Spoon is a wonderful novel that a nonfiction story he wrote.
There is no spoon.
Nice. And he profiled a group in Russia that is trying to do this. And the way they're trying to do it is interesting. So the way to get those higher number elements is to smash two smaller elements together. Well, one of the problems is that once you get past 99, those elements don't exist for basically any amount of time.
Are we talking about fusion?
Yeah, it's a form of fusion. And so 99, which is Einsteinium, I think, is basically one of the ones that's sort of critical to get past 118 because we need to slam it with the right mix. Well, this group in Russia actually is unveiling a new collider that essentially embeds californium or berkelium, which is 97 or 98, on a CD-sized piece of foil that's spinning to essentially keep it cool. And then they shoot either a titanium or I can't remember. It might be like some other element. They fire it. They accelerate up to 1/10 the speed of light and shoot it at that target as fast as they can.
What?
And if it hits the super heavy like berkelium or californium atom, it'll punch through that CD and go towards the detector. And while it's going towards the detector, it'll decay into a smaller element.
Yeah.
Because that element won't last. And they're looking for that sign of decay to prove that it actually created the larger element.
Wouldn't that result in an enormous amount of energy?
It is a lot of energy, but it's just like how it's not too dissimilar to how something like the Large Hadron Collider works. Mm-hmm. So there's an enormous amount of energy, but the beam is so small. We're accelerating like a few atoms.
Crazy.
So it's not overall a ton of energy to the system. But this is like a nutso system just to try to create, elements like 119 through 125.
Yeah.
It's a really long read on the engineering of this new location, which is called, I can't remember what it's called. But that's opening up in Russia this year to test this out. It's called the Super Heavy Element Factory in Dubna, Russia.
It's a lot of money to spend.
And now I want to. It's only $60 million. That's not
Curiosity.
that much in science.
Oh, wow.
Like when we were at CERN, that's $1 billion a year facility. So this is cheap.
Wow.
To get something that will never exist. Norm, you found a video you liked of a robot this week.
Oh. Are you guesting on a moment of science?
Am I? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I gotta pay
sorry.
attention.
Sorry.
You liked this video of a robot that was playing a game.
Yeah. Was this from MIT?
Yes.
I only liked it because I thought it was novel. I watched the video, but this is presumably a robot using computer vision to detect Jenga blocks and play Jenga, essentially. It prods the edges of the Jenga tower, finds a loose block, is able to grab, and then remove the pieces.
Does it play a perfect game?
No.
Oh.
No.
Why not?
No, because it doesn't memorize the location of each block. It's actually, as it's pushing it, like analyzing its sort of center of mass and steering it along as it sort of pushes it out and then places on top.
Which, to be fair, is an incredible mechanical achievement, to be able to push a block through a wobbly tower and keep that tower stable. I wanted to see the robot find a spot where the block was not wobbly and able to use its actuator so quickly to punch it out
Yeah, right.
and then do something a human could not
Do the tablecloth move.
Exactly. Tablecloth move on Jenga block, which I think they did a version of that on Mythbusters Jr.
I think this is way more interesting to do it, like to science, to do it to replicate how humans do it.
It is doing exactly what the human does, right? Find the wobbly block and pick it out.
All right.
It's a fun video.
I have another video recommendation. You've both eaten because this is going to be bad.
Yep.
So one of the things we don't understand is how maggots eat. So maggots are small, and there's something called conservation of mass. And so some scientists essentially have been studying how swarms of maggots are able to consume food as quickly as possible. You should go forward because it takes on an entire pizza next. And so they put an entire pizza, a 10-inch pizza, in an aquarium that was filled with thousands of maggots and watched them consume the entire pizza. They consumed the entire pizza in 2 hours.
It's like one of the grossest things I've ever seen.
It is awesome. And what they found is that there is a pattern of behavior, because if you're a maggot and you get gorged, right, what do? How do you get out of the way of the maggot that hasn't been satiated? And they found this fountain-like pattern where maggots from the bottom would kind of elevate to the top, and then they would eat. And as they would sort of finish eating, they would sort of slide off to the side as like a fountain pattern and cycle down below, and fresh maggots would come up like a fountain and keep consuming the pizza. No.
I mean,
I've lost them. them.
It's worth making that behavior, swarm behavior, is interesting. It is still a gross
It was
video.
awesome. And last stories, I want to give a shout out to our boy Kepler in space, which went into its retirement late last year officially, and just yesterday we got its final photo officially from Kepler that was received, I think, in September of 2018, and finally processed and released. It's sort of a stitched together picture of a number of galaxies, and as NASA put it, it's our one last look at our galaxy from Kepler. Thanks, Kepler.
Thanks for all the fish.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
Some good stories this week. Wouldn't you say?
Let's talk about some hardware and
Okay.
new hardware rumors from HP. I guess they're not rumors, they're substantiated reports that HP is working on a new Windows mixed reality headset, and this is going to be a high-end device to supplant the Galaxy or the Samsung Odyssey Plus as
Well,
the
yeah.
best WM.
I mean,
headset.
I think it's a different market. This is our friend Ben Lang from Road to VR got to see this, and he's written the exclusive article on it. So check it out on their website. It is there's only one render of it that HP gave him, but they did let him try it, and it looks a lot like a Rift with inside-out tracking and headphones, and the basically the entire structure, the straps on the side, the strap on the top, the spring-loaded, whatever you call that
The
mechanism.
baseball cap,
Yeah, that whole feature. That
the temple, the temple
it
rod.
looks heavily inspired by the Rift,
Yep.
but it includes the inside-out tracking of a Windows mixed reality headset. It's going to have, what is the resolution? 2160?
by 2160 per eye, which is higher than your Odyssey Plus and your Vive Pro.
That isn't just higher. That's like double what the Odyssey was at,
It's
right?
basically the current Windows highest res in Windows Mixed Reality. It's 1440 by 1600. So this is what people would call 4K display because it's 21 pixel. Of course, it's not 4K. It's more than what you get on a 4K TV.
Twice the number of pixels as the Odyssey Plus,
Mm-hmm.
3.5 times more than the Rift. So he's saying that the images look very good inside of this.
It's still under code name, so it's called Copper. And even at that pixel density, because it's, again, we're talking about resolution versus the field of view, and then there's a lot of just variables that you compound
Yep.
and combine together for just the visual fidelity.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Because we've seen 5K headsets, 8K headsets, and I put these all in their quotes because they're just single panels or two panels that are, 5K, not 5K by 5K per eye, but basically 4K resolution TVs, form factors, the aspect ratio, put in each eye. Here's a square.
Well, there's something to be said for taking that high pixel density and not spreading it over a wider field of view. You do get a sharper image than you would on something like the Pimax. I'd be very curious to use this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this does satisfy their professional needs, because apparently that's where this is coming from. They asked their professional partners, what are the biggest deficits right now? What are the the parts of the VR experience that you want to see most improved? And more than field of view,
What's your resolution?
people said resolution,
Yeah.
because they want to see whatever the automobile that they're working on as if it were real. So at least if you can get a smaller, even if the field of view is
But
small.
real is such a real doesn't mean anything.
What
in
is
VR,
real?
right? It can be low resolution, untextured, geometry, and that can look sharp and look just as quote unquote real as a fully rendered model. A lot of it has to do with dynamic range and of these displays. And
Right.
if for me, I would rather have HDR displays than a high resolution display.
Not me. I would rather have high resolution. However, I think personally, I think eye tracking for me is number one.
Sure.
I would like to have that just from a social standpoint, and then I
Social
would,
applications.
yes. Then I think I would want high res, but I would need the combination because I want that sweet varifocal, not varifocal, sweet eye tracking. What do you call it? Not foveated rendering, so that you could run these things on a lower power system.
I also want varifocal lenses.
Yeah, well, me too. But that's down the line. Now, what you're getting here is this high-res 2K or 2000 by 2000 per eye, and it's going to need a monster system in order to run it. I don't think that you're going to be running this on a 970. Who knows?
Presumably
what.
this is something that works maybe along with what NVIDIA has and their
Yeah,
kind of
but you're going to need a new thing.
right. But they have APIs now to not render everything for resolution, right? To fragment some of the
Right.
rendering based on the image that they've analyzed per scene and per frame. So 2K by 2K, we'll get there eventually. Like this, again, doesn't sound like it's a consumer product,
Right.
professional product. It allows us to get a glimpse of, as these things are manufactured and costs come down, what we can expect and hopefully see in the consumer space in the next couple
Yeah,
of years.
seriously. I'm just glad to see that this will be a product, and hopefully that will mean that these panels will eventually be a lot cheaper to produce, and they'll work their way down.
And none of this sounds like there's a big technological breakthrough, even though they're talking about their
No,
custom Fresnel
This
lenses.
is all about the panels.
Yeah, this is just panel technology, known quantity panel technology being adapted with, yes, you need new lenses for this to make it work in that form factor, but there's nothing that's shattering the kind of technological hurdles that VR still faces
Right.
in all the other aspects of VR, whether it's from haptics or even just rendering, that we need to get to.
It gets the mantle for the most powerful Windows mixed reality headset, assuming there's not a newer one that comes out before they make it to market.
And on so in that sense, it's kind of like an incremental upgrade, right? And that is, I think, what people should be expecting across the headsets as we move on to a quote unquote next generation VR headset.
Right, which is still at probably a couple years away.
Yes, because we know this is the year of
If not
Oculus
3.
Quest, right? Standalone VR, but that's we think it's gonna be a big stepping stone for VR hitting the mainstream. Wireless, we think, is very compelling.
Did you see those charts about where the Oculus Go was this past holiday season?
Yeah, we
where
talked
the
about that.
Rift. I don't know if we talked about that on the show. Did we?
It's a big jump.
It was a huge jump. Yeah,
Yes.
the PSVR and Oculus Go were shot way up over the holiday season, and I think that probably has a lot to do with cost.
Yep, cost and it's interesting because those are very different experiences too, and I think people want that PSVR, that Beat Saber experience on the Go form factor, and hopefully that's something that you're going to get on Quest.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for Rift? We know they're working on Rift, and we know when Brendan Reeve left Oculus, that was potentially over disputes over what the next version of Rift would be, and Facebook Oculus has only said that they're still working on a successor to Rift, but we don't know if that is going to be what they showed off last year at their Facebook event.
Oh, with the varifocal lenses.
With the varifocal lenses.
Yeah, I have a feeling that is 2022. I think Abrash last said that the next generation VR headset would be that year. So that's 3 years out, man. So before then, there was was it ours or TechCrunch? Somebody discovered late last year that there was a intermediary Rift, the Rift S, in development.
Yeah, and what that could be is it's in the Oculus app code, references to a Rift S with onboard tracking cameras, so inside-out tracking, get rid of those external cameras.
Yeah.
If they're confident enough in those inside-out tracking systems they've built for Quest, then it's got to run on a tethered system.
We've
to your
used
PC.
Quest, and the tracking is excellent.
Yes,
The head tracking.
the head tracking, but what about controller tracking behind you? Does it matter?
Exactly. That's my huge question on Quest, because all the games that we tried were custom made for what the Quest can do.
Can you catch a lone echo frisbee behind your back
Exactly.
with inside out tracking?
There is a lot of people who believe you can do anything with these trackers, that it can rely on IMU beyond the scope of the cameras. And I just want to say that there's a lot of people out there making assumptions. Let's wait and get the headset later this year and find out for sure.
Well, the game developers we talked about not only said that they have the IMU data, which gives you can approximate where your hand is, but you can also cheat the game and say when your hand's behind your back, your grab box is bigger. Right, like the target is bigger, so it's more forgiving.
I'm all for
interactions.
it. I'm all for it.
Right, it's just a design decision.
Great.
Right, because
let's see what those decisions feel like,
and whether you lose presence or you lose hand presence.
Eventually, do you think we'll have to be headed towards controllers that have their own inside-out tracking, so that you can have such immersive full coverage?
So you don't have any occlusion ever?
As you do with the Rift, right? Well, obviously with the Rift you have occlusion based on your body, but you're as you said, if you had inside tracking on the controllers themselves, you could potentially not have any.
I don't think so.
I do.
You think inside out tracking on the controllers?
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, the Vive system and Steam VR is that essentially. The controllers have sensors for the lasers.
Yeah.
And we don't have much occlusion problems with those.
I would settle for satellite trackers, maybe wireless things that communicate with the headset and just watch your controllers.
I don't think beacons are a path forward.
So
I don't either.
So you think controllers still, and not just hand tracking, like gesture and everything else that we've seen elsewhere?
I don't know how you get away from controllers. I think that always has to be your prime controller. I do think hand tracking would be great to augment that, maybe for certain applications, and just to have the feature.
Lead motion style skeletal modeling.
There'll be great applications for that, but you need controllers for haptic feedback and tactile response and like actual game design.
Yeah. Well, if Rift S comes out and it is just, and I say just lightly, but it is inside out tracking, it is
Well, did you say why we're talking about Rift S?
Right, because it's in the code.
Yes.
It's in the Oculus code that
Yes.
these features and this model is basically represented there.
So it's kind of confirmed.
Then it really comes down to price. Like, what is this? Just becomes another entry point, an ease of use point for people who don't have desktop VR. It doesn't seem like an upgrade path for people who have the Rift already.
Right. It sort of seems like a Windows mixed reality headset at that point.
Yeah.
And they sell those for a couple $100.
$200.
So you have to compete with that.
Yep.
So like $300.
At that point, the Quest is the high end.
I know, right?
400.
Yeah. And a lot of people are saying, man, how great would it be if you could use the Quest that way? You know, if you could plug a cable into your PC and just get it.
Video pass through.
Uh-huh.
As long as displays work. Is there local onboard video decoding?
There is no talk of that being a
No.
feature.
No. of course
None.
not, no.
There's one thing in the story I didn't understand. They said there was a potential that it's non-physical IPD adjustment. How
Yeah.
does software IPD work?
That is very murky, and I don't know how much of that it can be ascertained from the code that they looked at. It seemed like they were making a lot of assumptions. That seems weird. I'm not sure how you do that. But the assumption is that this Rift S will have a fixed IPD, like the Go, unlike the Quest, which has an
So-
adjustable. So, but who knows about that? I don't know how you do a software
I mean, you're
IPD.
separating the images more. The lenses would have to be fixed, but you're separating the
The
image.
lenses are like the important part of adjusting your IPD, isn't it? I mean, you want to get that center of the lens to align with the center of your
Obviously, you're not going to get that.
eyeball.
And maybe the lens design, it has a bigger sweet spot
Yeah.
for your eyes. But having the software images split up wider and you lose field of view a little bit with that, at least would make it more comfortable
Yeah.
if you had extreme IPDs. On the Oculus side, we also have a game announcement. This was kind of a surprise announcement called Asgard's Wrath. And it's made by Sensaru Games, who did VR Sports Challenge. What else did they do?
Did they do Marvel?
Marvel, yeah,
Yeah.
Marvel as well.
This looks cool. I want to know. Okay, so what is it? It's a RPG, first-person hack and slash game. Looks like with RPG elements. The graphics look great. I mean, this looks like a AAA kind of budget game.
The weapon like there seems to be a lot of different kinds of weapons, which is what is interesting me about a hack and slash.
I just want to know, why did they release this trailer now?
Why not wait for like a GDC or something?
Yeah. I mean, they said it's coming this year. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a holiday game. Why not wait for E3 or a week before E3? Like, it's just interesting that they chose this week to release this trailer. I mean, obviously it's a slow news week. Maybe they thought they'd get some headlines, and sure they did. But is there any hope that it might be coming out sooner? That's kind of where I'm left with it.
Yeah. I think at this point, I'm really waiting for the next big multiplayer game.
Yeah, that's not this, is it?
No.
Yeah.
And I think that does it for this week's episode of This Is Only a Test. I know, Jeremy, you mentioned that you're doing on your free time some work for Other Ocean on a project that I think you mentioned.
Yeah, it's not secret. We're working on essentially a real world homage to like a robot soccer game in the vein of Rocket League, but with real live cars that are remote controlled over the internet. So it'll run on Mixer, which is Microsoft's Twitch competitor, which has it was designed from the ground up to have this low latency capability. So you could do actual gameplay rather than just chat and, seconds of lag. You have relatively short latency. And so we are hoping to launch that this week. I guess the day this podcast goes up. And that's kind of like weird game development stuff, which is a new world to me, but it's definitely in production. Like, we're going to launch with the bare minimum, seed of a game, and we will let people play it. And in the spirit of iDarb, another game that Other Ocean made, we'll take suggestions and iterate and see what kind of fun we can find and chase. And right now, it's fun. Like, these tanks have cameras on them, so you can drive them. They have NFC readers beneath them, so we can run over tags and have it affected by various things. They have a little, like a tractor thing in the front, so they can push the ball, and the goals are, they have beams on them, IR beams that are triggered, and you set off sirens. They potentially have other capabilities, but it's It's a lot of fun.
I think you're not hyping this enough.
Well,
I'm not.
This
good at
seems
anything.
amazing.
If the word
this seems
picture
unreal.
that Jeremy's painted for you is not vivid enough, there's also a real picture of this on Tested, as we'll be releasing a video about this project. Hopefully, by the time you listen to this podcast, or very soon after, on our YouTube channel as the project launches. So you can stay tuned for that. Does it have a name?
Oh, I don't know. I'm calling it Tanks a Lot, but I don't know if that's been taken.
And on that note, that will end it for this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of This Is Only a Test. I also want to let people know and remind you guys, if you don't know, that we have a new Tested t-shirt. Jeremy's actually wearing one right now. It's a wonderful design. I'm so into this design. It was done by one of our viewers, Karen, who goes by Those Nerdy Design Sketches. And she does amazing sketches of all sorts of fun things, including things that Adam's built and things you may have seen on Tested. You can follow her on Instagram at Those Nerdy Design Sketches. But the shirt is on Cotton Bureau. Just go to tested.com/shop, and it's available for the next 2 weeks. I highly recommend you pick it up because it lets then us do more things like podcasts and go to events like Comic-Con and all sorts of other fun stuff. So that's it for this week. Kishore, Saint Quiche, can't wait to taste your Szechuan pepper wings. Jeremy, can't wait to play Tanks a Lot, the game. And you out
So
there,
good.
can't wait to hear more suggestions from you of what nicknames I should give Jeremy and Kishore.
We're done with that.
No,
We're not done
good.
with it. We got an outro?
From Imperialist Rex.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
It's actually quite dramatic, and it's super violent in this way that I found, quite watchable.
All right. Thanks for the recommendation, Kishore.
Fuck Batman. I'm not in enough of these. I like that one. I gotta say more memorable stuff.
There's also a tracking system on these tanks where it's called POSIX, and it's a ultra wideband tracking system that I've never used before, but it gets you X, Y, and Z within about 10 centimeters, and we're doing some smoothing to make it even more accurate. It's kind of neat.
Within about 10 centimeters.
I know it doesn't sound impressive,
10 centimeters is pretty impressive.
Great for GPS.
but luckily the noise is in every direction, so you can filter that on. We know orientation as well, so we can filter that, which cuts out a lot of noise.
Right.
And then you can also just do basic averaging. But it's cool because it allows us to have a virtual representation of the game, which you can use as a radar, or you can use to create AI tanks that the computer just takes over the tank and drives it itself.
Sold.
And we have a ball release hopper. That's what I designed last weekend.
I know.
Internet-controlled ball release hopper.
I wish we were able to feature more of that.
It's
in
a
the video.
gumball machine for soccer balls for robot tanks.
I feel like that has multiple applications beyond Tanks a Lot.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Chicken wing dispenser.